For a really long time, the UAE real estate market was tagged by outsiders with this flash cycle label. People thought of it as a place of rapid, speculative booms followed by equally rapid corrections. Well, today we're tackling that myth head on in this explainer. Sheriff Sleeman from Property Finder actually hits the nail on the head. 7 in 10 people planning to buy is a powerful signal. That's right, we're looking at a market driven right now by intense, real buyer intent. This isn't just your seasonal flipping anymore. This is a fundamental structural evolution. Okay, let's dive into this. 208,000. That is the staggering number of new residents that Dubai alone added to its population in 2025. Take a second to really process that. We are talking about deep, structural demographic growth that is driving undeniable housing needs. When you have an influx of human capital at this sheer magnitude, I mean literally hundreds of thousands of people, the foundations of the real estate market completely transform. They go from being short-term bets to absolute long-term necessities. So, welcome to our masterclass on the UAE's evolving property ecosystem. Today, we're unpacking some fascinating insights from the Foresight UAE Real Estate Trends Report, along with the super ambitious Dubai 2040 Urban Master Plan. It's all part of our explainer, UAE Real Estate, Navigating 2026 with Confidence. Here's our roadmap for today. We're going to cover 1. The end of flash cycles, 2. The Dubai 2040 Master Plan, 3. The branded residence boom, 4. Abu Dhabi's lifestyle shift, and 5. The developer playbook. We're zooming all the way from macro-level urban policy down to the specific tactics developers need for 2026. Section 1. The end of flash cycles, structural growth versus speculation. And this brilliantly illustrates how market confidence heading into 2026 is structurally sound. We aren't just seeing singular, localized spikes anymore. Look at Dubai. The residential market there is sustaining really strong, reliable capital gains, especially in the villa stock. But meanwhile, over in Abu Dhabi, we're seeing accelerated valuations in apartments. What does that mean? It signals highly diversified demand across totally different property types and different emirates. The market has widened its foundation significantly. So what are the actual fundamentals shaping 2026? Well, it goes way beyond a temporary frenzy. We already mentioned that massive population expansion driving direct housing needs. But crucially, end-user demand is overwhelmingly strong. We're seeing owner-occupiers actively outpacing speculators. People are buying these properties to actually live in them. We're also seeing this momentum spread nationally, with Ras Al Khaimah posting double-digit residential value growth. Ultimately, what you should take away from this is that macroeconomic stability is winning out over short-lived market sentiment. The roots here are deep and they are incredibly resilient. Section 2. The Dubai 2040 Master Plan, the catalyst for growth. Now this is where we shift from market reactions to a proactive visionary strategy. When we look at the core goals of Dubai 2040, it becomes crystal clear that this spatial blueprint is designed for absolute longevity. Sure, it's about optimizing space and infrastructure, but it's really about planning vibrant, healthy communities with core facilities. It aims to enhance parks, improve accessibility with a strictly people-centric approach, and fiercely protect heritage and culture. This long-term strategic plan actively guides urban development away from isolated plots and directly toward His Highness's vision of making Dubai literally the best city in the world to live in. Now, what's really interesting here is how we're moving away from standalone buildings and transitioning toward fully integrated lifestyle ecosystems. Imagine these futuristic experience-led developments that prioritize walkability, active ground floors, and social nodes. It's no longer about just building an impressive towering skyscraper. It's about engineering a community where people can seamlessly live, work, and connect. Section 3. The branded residence boom, merging lifestyle and security. We're zooming in now from high-level government policy to our first major market manifestation. And honestly, the project volumes here are jaw-dropping. By the end of 2025, Dubai had already delivered 64 branded residence projects. But the pipeline? It's even more incredible. We've got 87 additional schemes on the way. Branded luxury living, homes affiliated with globally recognized hospitality, fashion, or lifestyle brands, is moving so rapidly from a niche, ultra-exclusive offering straight into the mainstream market. It has truly become a core value driver. 19%. That pipeline represents a massive 19% year-on-year growth trajectory. By the end of 2025, the Emirate expects to house around 910 branded schemes. That is huge. Investors aren't just buying square footage anymore. They're buying into the guaranteed service, the deep emotional resonance, and the absolute capital security that these global brands provide. And because of this phenomenal growth, Dubai now officially ranks #1 globally for branded residences. No way, right? It has completely surpassed traditionally dominant legacy hubs like New York and South Florida in both completed and planned projects. If there were any lingering doubts about the UAE's absolute dominance on the global real estate stage, well, this fact shatters them completely. Let's move to Section 4 and see how this builds into Abu Dhabi's lifestyle shift, a human-centered investment. As Dubai scales its branded luxury, the neighboring emirate is undergoing a really fascinating evolution of its own. Abu Dhabi is experiencing a profound structural shift in its market dynamics for 2026. Affluent residents, professional expats, and families are no longer making price-only decisions. Resort-style living is totally driving the demand right now because people want real community ambience. Connectivity has become a core value enhancer, like how easily can you access leisure, retail, and transit. We're also seeing demographic shifts heavily favoring larger units and waterfront communities. Buyers are demanding experience-led appeal and strong social infrastructure over sheer asset delivery. Section 5. The Developer Playbook: How to Survive a Professionalized Market. So with buyers in both Dubai and Abu Dhabi demanding these integrated, lifestyle-rich environments, how do developers actually survive and thrive? Just think about expansive glass facades, open communal spaces, and the integration of lush greenery right at street level. Developers must now aggressively invest in ground-level activation and the public realm. You absolutely have to prioritize streetscapes, food and beverage clusters, and flexible spaces that create palpable energy beyond the private units themselves. A beautiful apartment is simply no longer enough if the street below it feels completely empty. To execute this, developers need a highly methodical playbook for 2026. First, you've got to design from the user journey backwards. Start your master planning with daily routines in mind, like work, wellness, and social interaction. Second, as we just discussed, invest heavily in that ground-level activation. Third, curate your amenities rather than just over-specifying them. Focus on the actual quality, the programmability, and the relevance of shared spaces. And finally, target specific demographic insights in your go-to-market strategies to align perfectly with these lifestyle-driven buyer groups. So the crucial point is really about fostering those daily connections. And it's vital to note briefly that this evolution isn't just restricted to developers. The entire ecosystem is maturing. Real estate brokerage has entered a much more professional phase. The landscape is actively becoming structured, highly transparent, and performance-led to properly support this long-term end-user market. Which brings us to perhaps the most important rule of the 2026 market, beautifully captured in this simple quote: "Design places, not just products." The ultimate lesson here is that delivering an isolated unit is no longer a viable business model. The market's immense momentum now entirely rewards those who foster long-term communities and generate real emotional value for the residents. We've seen how macro policy, shifting demographics, and strong buyer intent are totally reshaping this landscape. But it leaves us with an incredibly fascinating question for the global stage. As sustainability inevitably shifts from mere regulation into active, regenerative development, is the UAE writing the ultimate blueprint for the cities of tomorrow? Think about that as you watch these incredible skyline changes unfold. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.